Welcome back to the Rub Some Dirt on It podcast. I'm super excited to have this guest in the studio today. Patrick DiMarco, former Gamecock, former NFL football player, current dad, current youth coach, current podcaster for Tailgate Talks. I'm not sure what you have time for at these moments, but thank you for coming in, sitting down and chatting with me for a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we both played at Carolina for different coaches and at different times, but honored to sit here. And yeah, youth sports and sports in general have always been a huge part of my life. It was a part of my development, and kind of took off into my career here at college and then professionally for a few years. Came back and tried to coach at South Carolina, and I enjoyed parts of it, and I really felt like I was missing at home. That was a big reason why I got out of that. And now I'm all at home. Now I'm, like you said, I'm coaching.
Yeah, I know. You see you going through drop-off line and stuff, right? What do you do now in terms of your general profession that allows you the flexibility to coach?
Yeah, so I am working currently with Frank Kaysen over at Kaysen Development. We're a commercial real estate development company, doing stuff kind of all over the state of South Carolina. Perks of working in the real estate space is you have a more flexible schedule. One of the reasons I got out of coaching is because I was in there from like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. 5 or 6 days a week. So yeah, I mean, a big thing for me was I need to be present at home. If I'm happy at home and if I'm doing well at home, I'll be able to go out into the world, in the business space and in the social space, and be in a good headspace to go attack it.
For sure. I mean, I've just joined the 4-kid club. You're in that club.
Yeah, you got a baby.
So it's managing and balancing that is always, a fun but challenging thing, right? Mm-hmm. And you obviously have to have a great partner at home in order to make it all work. And what are some of the things that you do in order to kind of manage that schedule?
Yeah, a big thing for Kirsten and I mean, Kirsten and I have been married 10 years now, but a big thing for us is like we like to be active and we like to exercise. So like I'm a much better husband and dad if I get to work out in the morning. So I am a 5 a.m., 4 days a week, go to the gym, crank it out for 45 minutes. When I get home, Kirsten's running out the door. We give each other a big high five, hug, or kiss, and then she's at the gym from 6 to 7 while I get the kids ready for school. So I think that's a good like head clearing space because it's our own time to go out there and try to better ourselves. And yeah, I mean, we just, with 4 kids and our ages are 9, 6, 3, and 2. So it is pretty wide open. And it's only going to get harder, right? When they can are all doing youth sports. So we tag team at Kirsten. I get lucky because I get the big kids, and the big kids,
okay.
They're all fun.
Break it down.
But big kids are more fun because they can do more stuff, especially as a dad, where she's stuck with the babies. There's like afternoons where I'm outside playing with the big kids, and she opened the door. She's like, "Can we switch?" The babies are yelling at me, and I'm like, "Let's go, let's switch."
That's nice.
So no, it's like you said, like having a good partner at home. It's huge, and then like kind of how you raise your kids and all that is a big portion to it too.
And that's one of the best things I see about getting your kids into sports, keeping them in the sports, just the characteristic building and the values that they build and all the lessons they learn throughout sports is just unmatched in any other way.
No, it's huge. I mean, I contribute a lot of who I am as a person to playing youth sports and having really good coaches at a young age all the way up through college. I mean, Robert Gillespie was my running backs coach my first 2 years at South Carolina when I was here. And my first couple of practices, I remember calling home being like, "Mom, Dad, I don't know if this is for me." But Coach Gillespie was so hard on me. And then like he kept hitting my heartstrings, kept pushing me. And he's like, he grabbed me at one point and he's like, "Hey, do you know why I'm so hard on you?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, maybe you just don't like me. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't get it." And he's like, "You're one of my favorite players I've ever coached because you have the desire and you want to be great." And he's like, "I know how good you can be, and I'm not going to let up. Like this, like your freshman year, I'm just setting the tone. Your sophomore, junior, I only had him for 2 years. I wish I had him for all 4. But he like was building me up in a way and pushing me to make me have dreams and desires that I ended up fulfilling."
Yeah, that is awesome. So would you say that he is the coach that's had the biggest impact on you, or is there any other coach that you would say, man, he was the best?
I think he found me when I was most lost, like when I was confused in college, obviously away from home. I'm from Florida. So coming up here to South Carolina, I was kind of like foreign. I was the 2-star where everybody else was much better than me. So I was like trying to find my home. How do I fit in? Honestly, the most impactful coach I ever had in my life outside of my dad was Brian Schaefer, who was our defensive coordinator in high school. Down there, Orlando Lake Brantley High School. He's been a huge figure in my life. Still is. I still talk to him probably every other month. But he just really took me under his wing. He was a strength coach and football coach, and now he's in the administration at my high school. And he just, like, same thing with Coach Gillespie. He knew what was in there, and he kind of saw like the make and model and who I wanted to be. I didn't know how to do it, and he's like, he played his football at Carson Newman in Tennessee, and he knew I had aspirations to play college ball, so he helped me out from a high school standpoint and got me out of a few classes to make sure I could have extra weightlifting.
Nice.
And really pushed the recruiting piece, like being 6'1", 210, running a 4.8 is not that appetizing for many big schools. But he worked his tail off to push my information out, get me at camps, get me everywhere. So he's a huge piece of my success. And he still called me when I was playing in the NFL on Saturdays before games. Hey man, thinking about you, praying for you. Good luck. Let me know if there's anything.
That's awesome.
So I think that relationship piece and having somebody that believes in you before you believe in yourself, and he was that first coach that I had that did that.
Man, I wish I had that.
I mean, it was huge.
Coming from Wisconsin, my high school had 160 kids in it.
Oh, wow.
9 through 12, 160 kids. So you play all the sports. And I grew up watching Notre Dame football. All my older brother and sister went there, and then my younger sister went there. They all graduated from Notre Dame. So everything I knew of college football was Notre Dame football. We would go to the tailgates. We would go down there for the weekend with the RV. That was the thing. But I knew I had my goals set on playing Division I football. And my high school coach was a drunk.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I vividly remember I was sitting in my locker, the quarterback sat here, other running back, my best friend sat over here. He came into the one game, he would try to talk to the quarterback before the game kind of thing. And he walked out and he left, and everybody looked at each other and went, oh my God, because it was just a perfume of alcohol radiating that he left behind. Yeah. And he would go set up the field,
Yeah, he's not setting the tone that way.
No. And he was one of those guys that was like, he went to the high school, he went and coached at one of the local colleges, came back, nobody could touch him. He was a good coach. We won a lot. Yep. Everyone respected him, but at the same time, he was not looking out for his players. Yeah. And demons, everyone's got demons, and his was obviously so wrapped up into what he had his own issues going on. He wasn't thinking about us. But what it forced me to do was recruit myself. Yeah. Right?
That's cool.
So I am in this media business because of that, because my dad got me an extra VCR and a little switcher that I would stop and start. And I made my own highlight tapes. Yep. And I sent them around the country and had opportunities to play at San Diego State and here and Northwestern and things like that. Like, I knew I wanted to do it, so I went out and did it. But I'm just praying. I mean, I look at it sometimes and I go, okay, my kids, they'll probably be at least 6 foot tall. They're going to be athletic, at least as athletic as I am. So they got a shot. Yep. I've proved it. I can do it. They can do it. Yep. And if they have the high school resources that they have, which are 10 times as good as mine, they get the opportunities to play all the sports. They'll have someone in their corner, a strength coach to teach them how to do stuff. We didn't lift at all. I mean, it's just a totally different world that I'm excited to see with my kids coming through.
See, I got really lucky growing up in Altamont Springs, Florida. Like it's a Pop Warner League there, which was incredible. I started playing football in third grade, which Weston's in third grade. He's still doing flag football. I kind of feel strongly that they need to develop muscles and
Hollis is
and all
really
that stuff.
Hollis is really pushing me to get into tackle. I'm like, not yet.
Yeah, I mean, but the cool part about that is you and I are teaching fundamentals in flag football that we'll be able to translate.
True.
But I grew up like in third grade, started playing tackle football. And it was a feeder system from the high school. So we were the Lake Brantley Mighty Mites. But in like third and fourth grade, we were running the defenses and the offensive schemes, now dumbed down a lot, that we're running through the high school. So like in fifth grade, we were running like triple option. We were running veer, like reading the 3 technique, pitching off the end, half the wing back in pitch relation, like – cutting on the backside. I mean, and it's amazing. Like we weren't a crazy, like talented group of kids. Like there were a lot of Pat DiMarcos, like just tough, rugged, stubborn players. We went 0-9 my 8th grade year. My last year of Pop Warner football, we went 0-9. Lost 9 games. Didn't even sniff a win. Got our teeth kicked in. Freshman year of high school, we went 6-0 of freshman ball. And then, obviously, that freshman class was so good that we all played varsity as sophomores and ended up playing for the first time in school history in the state championship game, 6A. I mean, we were 4,400 kids in my high school, so we were the biggest class in Florida, and we played in the first ever state championship in school history. We got our teeth kicked in by Miami Northwestern, who was the number 1 team in the country and beat us by 30 in the state championship game. But it was really cool to see the growth, and I mean that – you don't, and then it goes to the piece that like my favorite time, I would imagine probably your favorite time playing the game of football was in high school with your best friends that you grew up with. Like It is a whole different vibe when you're like Timmy, who was playing left guard, and your wing back, and all these people that you know from the age of 8 going all the way up that have grinded and put in the effort and workouts. There's just something on Friday nights of putting the helmet on with like your best buds. Because when you get to college, and now college is different than it was when we were around, but college, you get 4 years with them, and you know there's transfer and there's stuff. So that like you developed relationships. I mean, in my wedding of my 8 groomsmen, 4 were from my high school team, 4 were from my college team. But then you get to the NFL, and the NFL is a revolving door.
Yeah.
Like, there are last time I played was 4 years ago in Buffalo. That roster's probably turned over 85% in 4 years. 8 years ago was my last game with the Atlanta Falcons. There's only 1 guy on that roster. 50 of the 53 guys on that roster that's still on that roster from when I was there. So that's just a crazy revolving door. But to be able to line up and play with your best buds, like I try to remind Weston this all the time, is like, hey, I know the games are stressful. I know that you feel the pressure, but don't ever forget, like, look in the dugout and see all your best buds there cheering you on. Look in the stands, and you're going to see all the parents that you see me and Kirsten, our peers, cheering you on. Like, you have a big, big team on your side. When you get – if you have the opportunity to play in college and in the NFL and even high-level high school, there's a lot of eyes on you that necessarily aren't rooting for you. So right now, really dive into that. You're playing with your best buds and their parents, and everybody's on Team Weston right now.
Yeah, that's some great advice for sure. We how many sports did you play?
Shoot, I grew up playing everything. I started
through high school too.
In high school, I played everything through my junior year. Actually, I played everything through my sophomore year, and then I played football going into my fall of my junior year, and I started getting recruited, and that's when coaches started to be like, hey, like, basketball's not going to be in your DNA long term. They're like, you're a good baseball player, but you're not getting recruited quite for baseball yet. Like, I think you should.
So you got encouraged to specialize basically when you were a senior?
Yeah, junior, senior in high school. But, like, as an athlete, I always needed something to compete in. So even though I gave up playing basketball and baseball my junior and senior year, I picked up track and weightlifting. So there was always some sort of sport, and like track, I'm getting faster. I'm working on running mechanics, weightlifting, strength, power, endurance, all that stuff that was going to translate to football. So I put away 2 sports, like more competitive team sports, and picked up 2 like more individual sports that were going to help me in my main focus, which is going to be football moving forward.
Interesting. Yeah, so I'm a big component of multi-sports.
Do everything.
I want my kids to do every sport as long as possible. So that's why people think I'm crazy, but soccer and football every spring, every fall, basketball rotation, baseball every spring, every fall.
Yeah, I mean, I started t-ball, soccer, basketball, football. I mixed in karate for like a couple weeks, and I got in trouble with karate. I got kicked out of the karate. He's like, "He's too aggressive." What's karate? So yeah, but I mean, I played all 4 of those all the way up until actually I gave up soccer probably 6th grade, 7th grade. It just wasn't a crazy passion of mine.
So in Wisconsin, when I grew up, we had to pick football or soccer. So here they pick baseball or soccer. So it was a no-brainer that I was picking football. So I stopped playing soccer at the end of 8th grade, right? So when I got into high school, you had to pick. And our high school was so small that we have co-op sports.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't have a soccer team. So you had to go to the local high school town over and play on their soccer team if you wanted to play soccer. So I was like, I'm definitely not doing that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the kids, like the whole CTE movement and concussion protocol, and it just exploded, I don't know, 10 years ago. That forced our football school. We were a football school, my high school. Out of 160 kids, 44 boys were on the team.
That's almost every single one of them.
Right. The other 2 were playing soccer.
Yeah.
So now they can barely field a team, and they play 8-man football.
I went down. I got inducted into my high school Hall of Fame last year down at Lake Brantley. And we had a pretty rich tradition even before I was there of success. They never quite made it to a state championship, but we were always a playoff team, always kind of up for the district championship. I went down, and it was the weekend of the Hall of Fame, and it was a running clock in the second quarter. We were down by 40 points. Wow. And I remember I went up to the head coach at the award ceremony the next night and was just – because he was the offensive line coach when I was there. His dad was the head coach. His dad passed about a year ago. Rest in peace, Coach Clayton. But I was like, what's going on? Like, this is not the Patriot tradition that you know, that I know. And he's like, Pat, like NIL and transfer portal has trickled into the high school space. Like, our 8 best players from last year's team have gone to different schools because they're offering them money. And not to mention, kids are getting so sports specific. I have nobody here at Lake Brantley plays football and basketball, or nobody plays baseball and football. So he just has football players and players that shouldn't be playing football playing on that team. Like, there weren't multi-sport athletes in high school, which I go back to my time there. 2 of the defensive linemen were stud basketball players. One of the linebackers went and played baseball at Florida State. 2 of the DBs went and played football at Lehigh. Offensively, we had 1 or 2 guys played baseball. We had 2 All-American lacrosse players at Maryland that played on our football team. So we had none of them, several of them were really, really good football players, but they were just good athletes, and they were competitive jokers that wanted to go get after it.
That's crazy. That's so what sports do you currently coach?
Right now, I am coaching right now we're in baseball season, so I coach Weston's baseball team.
You're the head coach for that?
Yep, up at PBL. I'm an assistant with his travel ball team. I coach his summer and fall flag football team. I have given up on soccer. I tried soccer at the young ages. I would probably enjoy it now because I still kind of like coach from the sideline a little bit. I would enjoy it now that it's structured and they're passing the ball and it's not just a herd of cats running around. Yeah. I got scarred with 3-year-old soccer. I did. It was so hard and it made me not want to do it anymore.
The 4-5s are just as bad.
Yeah.
And
then I also coach Weston's basketball team.
Okay.
Church basketball team this summer.
So you have 2 boys, 2 girls. Mm-hmm. Are the girls getting into sports yet?
Yeah, the 2 girls. Sutton is 6. She is in 1st grade, and she is. She's playing soccer and doing dance.
Okay.
She is wired like me, which is very strange that your oldest daughter is wired like the football player. Where Weston, 9-year-old son, our oldest son, he's not wired like me, and it's been a battle back and forth because like I want to push him like I was pushed, like my dad pushed me. Mm-hmm. He doesn't
respond.
It doesn't respond, doesn't click. It's honestly like toxic for us at times. So I'm having to rewire my mind into finding ways to best reach him. Because being critical and expecting perfection, like what I always expected of myself and my dad expected of me, that doesn't hit home. It's more encouragement and building him up and pushing him to practice and telling him how good he can be. And if he's not having success, like kind of build on the certain little small techniques that are going to deliver to him. I was always a kid and even an adult that like I didn't want anybody to work harder than me. Like I felt like I failed the day if there was somebody that did more than me. That is not my Weston. Like Weston enjoys watching TV, enjoys times playing video games. He's a really good artist.
But he loves playing. It's not like you're forcing him to play, right? He loves playing sports.
He
loves
and being with his friends. Playing the sports. He does not like practicing the sports. And in order to get better, like when I was a Weston's like, but Dad, I'm sure you didn't hit off the tee all the time when you were a kid. And I was like, you're right, I didn't. Like that wasn't like really a thing back then. But what I did do is I remember like I can envision myself like every afternoon we had a basketball hoop in my driveway, and then we also had like right above the garage there was like this basically a strike zone. Mm-hmm. And like I played games, like I practiced games in my head. Like I was like, hey, like I'm playing basketball. Hey, game just tipped off. I'm tipping. Boom, I score. Okay, I'm up 2-0. Oh man, I went on a drought and down 2-6. And I'm like playing games in my head in like a practice sense. And same thing with baseball. It was always like, hey, I'm pitching 4 innings and that's the strike zone. And it's you either walk them or you strike them out. And he just doesn't. He's not wired like that. He likes to, and he practices hard and works hard at practice. Yeah. But if he's not forced to go somewhere and do it, he's not going to do it. And he's 9, so yeah. I got to reel it back at times too. But I was just wired different. Where Sutton, our 6-year-old, they did swim team this summer. And she said it, not me, but like I'm like, Weston, you're so distracted during swim. Like you're swimming and you're looking like you're worried about everybody else around you. And I'm like it's a race to that wall. Like it's you whistle blows and you go to touch that wall as fast as you possibly can. Nothing else around you matters. And this was without Sutton. Sutton wasn't there when I said this to Weston. And then Sutton comes over there and I'm like, Sutton, like, because she won several of her swim meets and she was one of the younger kids. And I'm like, Sutton, like, what do you think about when you're swimming? And she goes, as soon as I hear the whistle, like I know it's start. And then like, I'm just trying to get over there to the wall as fast as I can. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have something here. So it's crazy that the daughter's wired like the fullback. Yeah. But she grabs me and she's like, hey, can we go outside and practice soccer? Hey, can you go set up my tumbling mat? Hey, can you come do this? Can you come do that? And, I've bought probably just like you, I've bought all the contraptions in the backyard for Weston. We have a hitting tee. We have a pitching net. We have a bounce back machine. We have a quarterback training thing. We have a soccer net. And I'm like, man, those things look really new right now. But it's not good that they don't look crazy worn out. Where Sutton, like, it's just the soccer net is all she really cares about in her tumbling mat. And she's And I've told Weston, I said, hey, like I'm going to ask you and push you to go work, but if you don't want to work, that's fine. But dude, the minute you tell me you want to go do something, I will set up the most bad obstacle.
You have an amazing resource.
Yeah. Like I'll do whatever you want.
You can't get a better resource than this.
Yeah,
if you want it, it's yours.
Yeah. So it's getting there, and he's 9. And I know there's, and a lot of it is like at that age, they need to see success to like want to do it.
What was the conversation you had with him yesterday?
Yeah, he's struggled in baseball so far this year. We've had 2 games. He's struggling just putting the bat on the ball. But he hasn't really put the work in outside of, when we run practices and stuff too.
And you're lucky to get 2 at bats at practice.
So I'm telling him, I'm like, hey man, like you're really struggling hitting so far. I think it'd be really good for you to hit off the tee. And he's like, I already practiced baseball. I threw on the bounce back machine for 2 minutes. And I'm like, I'm not worried about you throwing on the bounce back machine, buddy. You're letting your team down if you're not playing as good as you could possibly play. And it's like, I'm not mad at you that you're not having success. Like
he's in player pitch now.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm sure your teammates aren't mad at you. Do they want you to do better? Yes. Because ultimately, like if you play good and the team plays well, we're going to win. And he just really fought it. And I got a little hot where I probably shouldn't have, but I was like, hey, well, like, look, we're supposed to play travel ball this summer, and it's a really big time commitment for mom and dad and a big expense, and for our family to do this is we give up and sacrifice a lot of things to have you do this. And if you don't want to put the work in and you don't want to be a great baseball player and you want to bat last and you want to sit on the bench, I ain't doing it. Like I will call your coach right now and tell him, hey, we really appreciate last year. Weston loved it, but he doesn't have the passion for baseball anymore, and so we're not going to do this. And as soon as I brought that up, he's like, never mind, I'll go get all the stuff out of the garage and do it. But it's like I don't want to, as a dad, put those, like I don't want to have to rely on those fear tactics.
Right.
But
it's a healthy understanding of, one, how the world works, but also just the whole family is committed to everything we're doing, and we got 4 kids to be committed to.
It's a beast.
They need to understand that, yes, it costs money to do this. Yes, it costs time to do this. We are all in to do it. Now, fortunately, because Weston's in Hollis's class, Everett's actually is Sutton's grade, class, yeah. But I got 2 boys, so they're close in age. So whenever I can get Everett to play up, I do.
Huge.
And it's such a game changer because I only have 2 soccer teams this spring instead of 3.
Yep. Well, and also like a big thing, which I've noticed with you, is like Hollis is a good athlete. Everett's a really good athlete. And to see younger brother syndrome, like, let me see what my older brother does. Oh, I'm going to compete with him. I have 2 brothers on my current PBL baseball team, and older brother is really, really talented and really, really good. Younger brother has more of a burning desire to want to be as good as he could possibly be, where older brother just kind of like, he's just good and he's always been good, so he kind of coasts. Where younger brother's like catching up.
Yeah, so that dynamic it's interesting to see someone else's perspective on that dynamic, right? Because Hollis is a good athlete. He's got good hand-eye coordination. I say he's not fast, but he's not slow either, right? Everett has a natural athletic ability. Like I can totally see Hollis as a hard worker, like a Patrick DiMarco, just grinding it out, using his God-given gift, and then that extra work will get him to the next level. Everett, natural.
God-given ability.
God-given ability. And he, because it is so easy for him, he doesn't work extra. He coasts a little bit. But he's also out there shooting hoops. He's also out there hitting off the tee. I took him to the driving range on Tuesday because we just had an extra day at night. And he's like, I want to go to the driving range. I was like, sure, buddy. Those balls are free for kids. So anytime you want to go, I'd rather have you doing that than sitting on the couch. And he loved it. And but he fortunately, I wouldn't be pushing him up if he was getting his ass handed to him every time.
Yep.
Because that wouldn't be any good either.
Yep.
But so fortunately, he's able to hang with the older kids, and speed is the great equalizer, and he's super fast.
In sports, like, speed kills.
Yeah, and that I'm thankful for. Jacob, he is 2 years younger than Everett, but he hasn't gotten into the, I want to practice mode. He likes being out there. He likes the idea of playing soccer and baseball, and he's got a good baseball swing. He's athletic. He's fast. Once it'll finally click, and he'll be able to catch and throw and do all that.
It makes it so much more fun.
It makes him so much more fun, and he loves football right now.
That's awesome.
And like they were both begging me to get him into the little after school football thing that they're doing right now, and he just loves it. And I actually think it's probably going to be his sport because there's less catching and throwing involved sometimes.
Yep.
Just hand him the ball, let him run. Go tackle that kid.
Yeah. I heard, I forget where I heard this, but somebody mentioned it to me. Just because, like, we're always in coach mode, like, it's just like who we are, and like, I always, like, is there a way to get better? Is there a way to get better? Like, in everything, like, I mean, it's a problem. But I was reading somewhere, heard somewhere that when's the last time, and this was like punched me like a ton of bricks right in the face. When's the last time you went out and played catch with your son in the backyard and you didn't try to correct everything he was doing? I mean, it's
never.
Like, honestly,
I don't know if I've ever done that.
But it's like, it's so true because it gives them the joy of the game. I'm just playing catch with Dad, and I drop every single one of them, and Dad's just sitting there waiting for me to throw it back. Like, I wish I had the patience to do that, and you do with your younger kids, but with your older kids, you have higher expectations. But like, I've been intentional, tried to have been more intentional at times to not critique everything that Weston does because it's toxic.
Yeah.
And just be dad sometimes, because like, even when we have kids over in the backyard and there's a bunch of boys playing and one of the dad comes, like, and they're playing football in the backyard and you're sitting there watching them, as a competitor as us, we're like, why didn't you throw it to so-and-so? So-and-so is open. Hey, make sure you track his knee or hip. And like, you're coaching from the patio when you're supposed to be drinking a beer, watching football, and like letting your kids be kids. But it's just like, it's coach mode. And it's like,
I was in the kitchen, and one of our windows is out to the backyard, and I was cooking, and Everett was outside hitting off the tee. And he was kind of like standing up tall and kind of just swinging. And I knocked on the glass and I walked outside and I said, get in your stance and hit the ball right. Don't be developing bad habits.
These are game reps.
Don't get up into this tall stance and just kind of going through the motions, because you're going to start doing that in the game, and you got to get in the proper footwork. Like, don't be developing bad habits.
Yeah. I had Bobby Turner is the running backs coach with the San Francisco 49ers now. He was with Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan. He's been in the Shanahan tree forever. Bobby T is in his 80s. He's been coaching in the NFL for 50-something years. I mean, he is like the OG. And he always was a creature of habit. And I say that because like, one of the big things that he always did for every running back was like, first you form the habit, then the habit forms you. So you start to put these processes in place, and if you just keep doing them, they're going to become second nature. So like, you know, like when I got in my stance as a fullback, I would always gauge the field. And, you know, like your first few years when you're in college, like you're better than most people, so you can just go out there and just kick everybody's butt. But when you get in the NFL, like, you know, I'd always like, my eyes are on my responsibility, and I'm like, well, what am I telling the defense? Like, exactly what we're doing. And like, he challenged me. He was like, hey, what do your eyes do pre-snap? And I'm like, I'm paying attention to my responsibility. And he's like, what do you think your responsibility is thinking? Like, well, he knows you're going to block him. And he's like, hey, like, why don't you start, like, take a picture of the defense? So start left, go right, and do it every single snap. So there's no difference in what you do on a run play versus a pass play. It's always the same thing. So like, during OTAs, like early on in spring ball, I'm like, let's try this out. And like, the first couple practices, I'm like, whoa, this messes with me a lot. And he's like, keep trying. I promise it'll click. Ended up becoming, like, by the time season started a couple months later, second nature. I'd get in my stance, duke. Within a second, I can gauge and see what the back boundary corner's doing all the way to the strong side free safety. I know what everybody's doing pre-snap just in a split second. I mean, first you form the habit, and the habit forms you.
That was first year, second year? When did that kick in?
That was third year in the NFL. So, yeah, everybody that I blocked the first 2 years knew I was blocking them pre-snap every single play.
Well, so I was thinking about this, and what is – sorry, I just now blanked.
No, you're good.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you about is your dad, right? So we've talked a lot about the son-father dynamic. What is something like, how did your dad coach you, and what was that dynamic like? Have you gone the opposite way to say, I'm not going to do anything like he's doing, or you doing it the same? How was that element?
Yeah, I mean, like, I had a great dad who was around about. He traveled a decent amount with work, but I distinctly remember it was my 8th or 9th birthday, but he was out of town, and I had a Little League baseball game, and I remember him telling me, hey, buddy, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to your game on your birthday, but I'm going to do everything in my power to do it. Remember, I got up to bat, my first at bat. I'm going to get emotional, but I hit a home run, and I remember running around the bases. I went and stepped on home plate, and he's sitting there at the fence. And I was like, it's my dad.
He made it.
Yep, that's my dad. He went and did everything he possibly could. But he wasn't the head coach on a lot of sports that I played. He was an assistant on most of them. So he was involved and was very critical. Like his brother, Chris DiMarco, played on the PGA Tour for 12 years. I mean, I was blessed. I had 2 grandpas that both played college sports. My mom's dad, Wayne Floyd, played football at Troy, and my dad's dad, Richard DiMarco, played basketball at St. Joe's. So it's always been an athletic family. I have a cousin who played in the minor league, the Baltimore Orioles minor league baseball system. So sports have always been a big piece, and like my dad was one of 3 boys. Like you have 4 boys, so like the competitive nature of it. So it was always like, I mean, it was tough.
Yeah.
Like we were, my mind goes when I'm with Weston to do what my dad did with me, and it was like find competitive drills. Like, hey, we're gonna do ground balls for every ground ball good throw that you make. I'm gonna do 5 push-ups for every one that you miss or screw up. You're gonna do 5 push-ups, and like that worked for me. It doesn't work for Weston. So he was tough. He was present. He was there. Like he would critique when I was bad, but he would also put his arm around me and hug me when I was discouraged. But all in all, I always knew that he was my biggest fan.
Yeah.
And that was the most important thing for me. Like good, bad, ugly, whatever it was, win, loss, there's always going to be things to get better at. But as long as son knows that mom and dad are always his biggest fan, like that's all you can ask for.
What are some tips you would have for coaches, youth coaches? What's something that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not a patient person, but I've learned you got to have a lot of patience in youth sports, and you got to offer a lot of grace, because these kids want to please you. Like that's just their nature. Players want to please their teammates, want to please their coaches, want to please their parents. That's just naturally like who a kid is, who a human being is. So like a big thing is just like kind of giving grace and encouragement. In the NFL, my last 6 years in the NFL, I had 2 really good head coaches. I had Dan Quinn for 2, and then Sean McDermott for 4. And those were 2 guys that were like true leaders of men, like lived by their faith, were outspoken about their faith in the locker room and in the team meeting room, which was really cool. But they really empowered you with positivity. We're going to grind our butts off in practice. Practice is going to suck, and it's going to be hard. But come game time, I'm going to sit back, and I'm going to encourage you, and I'm going to let you go be yourself. Because if I didn't fix it Monday through Saturday, I'm not going to be able to fix it on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, and I've taken that philosophy, I feel like, with everybody but my son in games, is like, I'm extremely encouraging, extremely positive. Like, trigger words are huge. Like, when a kid's up to bat and you tell him, hey, make sure you step in, make sure your hands are up, make sure you track the ball, make sure you do this. Like, what did he hear? Nothing. When you say, hey, buddy, you got this, he has self-confidence, he's ready to go. Or you give him a quick word like, hey, flip back to the pitcher, and you just give him one little thing that he needs to work on or focus on. They're not thinking. They're going to go out and have fun. And ultimately, if you have fun, you're probably going to succeed. So I know that was long-winded.
No, it was great. What I was also, what you were talking about is it spurred on another question for me, which is, at what point do you feel that practice can go from instructional and fun to grinding out hard? We're going to get better because we're going to make practice harder than the game. At what point in the age group?
I think we're there with the older kids. Everett 7 now?
7, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think 7, 8, 9, like, with everybody and even with adults, like, you have to earn my respect and you have to get my trust before I'm going to sell up for you, right? It's not like you sign up for something and you're like, hey, I just met you, but I'm going to go do anything I want, anything you want of me, right? It takes time to kind of earn the respect and the right of those kids, even at the ages of 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, those jokers are emotionally, they might not be knowledgeable, crazy intelligent, but emotionally they're extremely intelligent. So I think, like, you got to earn their trust, and in that it has to be fun, it has to be engaging. You have to make them want to please you, because if they don't trust you or believe in you, they're not going to try to please you. So as soon as you get that, like, I'm at the point right now we're going into our 3rd game of baseball. First game we played really well. The second game, like, we did not play very well, so we're 1-1. And Weston has come home from practices sometimes and been like, Dad, you're being way too nice to all of us. Like why are you coaching us like you'd coach Sutton's team right now? And I'm like, oh, trust me, like, Dad's going to come out soon. But you know how much I believe in you, and you know how much I believe in your friends. But I've only known some of these kids for a couple of weeks, buddy. They don't know Coach DiMarco yet. And now that I'm starting to see the twinkle in their eye when I see them, when I'm encouraging them, like, I think we're getting to a point now where, like, accountability needs to be held. And, if you don't, my big phrase is like, we do push-ups. Push-ups is our form of a punishment, but I always word it, hey, this is not a punishment. It's just a chance to get better.
Yeah, because I balance that a lot too in my mind. We use push-ups all the time, right? Mm-hmm. I've started using squats, change it up a little bit, but it's one of those things where I don't want them to be imprinted that working out is a punishment.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
So there's like this weird balance with that element of it. But
sit in silence for 30 seconds. Like, this is awful. Make me do push-ups.
Stretch. No, that can't be a punishment either, because they got to learn how to stretch at some point. So flag football, we've been coaches together and we've been coaches separately. Now, the last game we had, you weren't there, and our team got destroyed. But let's talk about flag football a little bit and how you have developed obviously, I'm going to want my kid on the guy who has been in the NFL for 10 years. So when you get 20 requests for a team of 12, you kind of have your pick of your choice of the talent. But there's an element of your team, flag football, 8 and 9-year-olds, are doing stuff right.
Yeah, I mean, I just because I'm a creature of habit. So, like, if I'm taught something at an extremely high level, like, I'm going to still take those processes and convey them at a younger age. So, like, fundamentals are key in every sport. Like when we have baseball practice tonight, every kid's going to field ground balls at shortstop. Every kid's going to catch pop flies in left field. Every kid's going to hit off a tee. Every kid, we're going to work on what are the 3 things that happen when you hit a ball to first base. You either run through, you make a turn, or you're going to. Like, It's that simple, like fundamental. So when talking about flag football, like I played offense for the longest time. I love defense. Like that is more of my jam. I would rather be a defensive coordinator in high school, little flag football, whatever it is. I'd rather run a defense because like it's more reactive. And that's like kind of like how I always viewed the sport. But we like, we like one thing, we do something different that a lot of teams don't do out there, and we block. Like you're not supposed to block and put your hands on people. And like, I don't encourage it. I kind of do. I like a little bit of physicality.
Get in their way.
But like, if we're doing a run play and it's wide run right and you go block the inside shoulder of the guy, you're wrong. And I'm going to tell you you're wrong. Like if we're trying to run wide run right, you need to block the outside shoulder because we're going to try to circle the defense. Little league like flag football, you get to the edge and you're gone. It's a touchdown. So like let's find a way to gather the edge. And then on a counterpart, like defensively, like I teach my corners, like you're in a stance, your belt buckles with the football and you're a yard outside of the wide receiver. And we're teaching formation adjustments. So like if there's no receiver to your side, the corner's condensing, they're bumping the backers over. Like in my safety, my two linebackers are the ones conveying that. And we do like walkthroughs, like boring walkthroughs where they're like, this stinks. Like we haven't done anything. And I'm like, all right, well, when we go to the scrimmage and I give you a funky formation and you're on defense, you're going to know how to adjust. And like I'm teaching, like this is something that I learned in college. We didn't practice this in high school. Like I'm teaching vice tackling in flag football. You have the contained player and then you have the inside person flow into the inside hip. So you have your outside guy who's if say they're running right, he's a right shoulder player. The ball can't get outside of his right shoulder. And then you have the inside flow guy who is inside foot up working to the knee or hip. Make him try to split you. If he tries to split you, we're going to sandwich him. Like that's what we're trying to beg for. We don't want one-on-ones. We want two-on-ones. Who's going to win on a two-on-one? The two. So like all that stuff. And then like when it comes to like teaching an offense, like I'm the KISS strategy. Keep it simple, stupid. Like find out what we're good at. Like when we sit out there in the flag football and like they want to run a pass play every play, and I'm like, I get it. Some of you guys can execute and like. It requires a really good snap to the quarterback. That's another thing that we practice. They get like it to nausea with is like we practice quarterback center exchange. Every single kid works on snapping the football and getting it to the quarterback. Every kid works on being the quarterback and getting the ball, and everybody works on being the quarterback and handing it to the running back. How do we take a handoff? And they're like, they get so annoyed with that stupid drill. But I'm like, hey, what happens if it's a bad snap? And they're like, oh, it's a loss of downs. And I'm like, we only get 4 of those. Like. That means we have to be perfect on 75% of our opportunities if we lose one. So like we do a lot of fundamental stuff, and it's probably boring for them at times, but we didn't have any bad snaps last year. Yeah. Which in 7, 8, 9-year-old flag football is like unheard of, right? The ball not being on the ground. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like from a play standpoint, like we do 4 or 5 different things, and we just do them at an extremely high level. Like I'm not trying to draw up like the triple reverse pass, throwback to the quarterback. Like the ball's going to be on the ground. Somebody's going to fumble it at some point if that many kids are touching the football. But then there's also the balance of putting the kids in positions to succeed, which has been a lot of fun. I'm not going to ask the kid who's terrified to go play Mike linebacker and be the one who's bumping shoulders with everybody. Like I'm going to put him at corner and I'm going to tell him, hey buddy, you're guarding the sideline and you're going to do it as good as you possibly can. I'm not going to ask the slowest kid to play safety, right? Like, cause that's going to put him in his position to not succeed. He's the last line of defense. The ball gets past him. It's going to be a touchdown. And then he's going to like it's going to be his fault, and kids are going to look at him like it's his fault. So I don't want him to have those negative eyes on him. Now, if we get up big in a game, then yes, I'm going to move everybody around. Everybody's going to play positions that are going to be uncomfortable, and we do that in practice. But I mean, speaking out of both sides of the mouth, like I love development, but I also love winning. Like winning's more fun for everybody. So you always play to win, and then if you have the luxury of being up with a comfortable lead, then like I'm all for Timmy, who's never played quarterback his entire life. Hey, dude, you're running this entire series at quarterback, and you might not complete a pass, but you're going to experience it. You're going to do it, And then next season when we do it, you're gonna practice it again. And if you can slowly get better and better and better, who knows what you're gonna like. We don't know what our kids are gonna be like until they hit puberty, until they get older. I've said this a few times on interviews and stuff I've done, is like the best kids at my high school and my age group, the best athletes when they were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 were not the best athletes in high school. They either didn't want to play the sport, they got past from a development standpoint, they got comfortable, and they didn't like to grind and work.
So many kids burn out at 8th grade.
Yeah,
or
they're doing it too much, and it just doesn't become a passion anymore. That's why, like Weston played on Little Canes travel baseball team this year, and when Kirsten's like, "Is he doing flag football?" I was like, "You bet your life he's doing flag football." And she's like, "But there's going to be like he's going to miss a practice for the Canes," and like all excited about the Canes, and I'm like, I don't care. He's 8, and they practice 3 days a week, so he's going to be at 2 of the 3. And he's playing football, and we're going to work on speed and agility and hand-eye coordination, and a lot of the same things are going to carry over to baseball. We're doing it on the football field.
Do you find you coach baseball differently than you coach, or basketball differently than you do football? I know I do.
Not really. Like, I kind of come with the same like mentality to it. Like, I'm more comfortable with football, just like you are. Like, I know it like the back of my hand more, but I love sports that much that my social media feed's probably just like yours, right? It's like youth baseball, speed and development, like all these things are the things that are popping up in my feed because like it's a passion of ours. So no, I mean, I go at it. When I coach them, I always try to earn their respect and make it fun. And then as they get comfortable with me, then it's like, hey, if you don't do this right, you're going to do it again. And if you're going to goof off, I'm going to single you out and I'm going to make you do a punishment. And better yet, actually, it's not a punishment for you. It's a punishment for the rest of your team. You're going to have to watch the rest of your team do a punishment because you're acting up. And I promise you that'll fix it real quick. So, no, I mean, youth sports, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, for sure. So, last thing, just how's that podcast going?
It's going good.
Tailgaters?
Yeah, Tailgate Talks.
Tailgate Talks, okay.
With Tailgate Talks with
Steven
DiMarco.
Garcia.
Yeah. He's I mean, it's crazy. We were roommates for 2.5 years in college. Okay. Same recruiting class, came in together. We had a lot of fun in college, but kind of like when I kept playing and then his dreams kind of like his football career didn't pan out, we kind of got separated. We went on different paths, and like we still talked, twice a year, 3 times a year. Hey, how are you? Happy birthday. It's great seeing you. Cool seeing this on social media. But doing this podcast over the last like 7 to 9 months has been really cool to like get reconnected with him. I mean, Steven is like my favorite part of Steven is he is who he is. He is not changing for anybody. And that is a
hard quality to find.
It is a hard quality to find. We all wear camo, right? We all want to blend in with everybody different. And he's just like, if you don't like me, screw you. If you love me, awesome. Let's go drink a beer. And I absolutely love that about him. But the podcasting, it's been fun. It's been a really cool way for us to reconnect with with our former players and some of our current guys.
Yeah.
A big thing that we talked about going into it was we wanted guys to tell their story, why they love this university, some of their favorite fondest moments, who's made the biggest impact on their lives during their time here. And I think a big piece is like what you're up to now.
Do you gravitate, or do you feel like you are more of an Atlanta Falcon or a Buffalo Bill or a Kansas City Chief, or who?
I would probably.
I guess if you were going in the Hall of Fame, who would you go into the Hall of Fame?
I would go into the Hall of Fame with the Atlanta Falcons if that were the case, because I had 2 of my best years of my career. I was at my peak playing time during my last 2 years there. But as a fan, I root for the Buffalo Bills. They're better than the Falcons right now.
Yeah.
Weston was really was 1 during my last year with the Falcons, so he doesn't really remember Falcons times, but there's a lot of pictures of him with the Bills. And so he's a huge Bills fan. So
so you tend to relate more to the Bills, but kind of Falcons is.
Yeah, I mean, just because, like, you know, you played in the Super Bowl. I was named to the all-decade team of the Atlanta Falcons from 2011 or 2000 to 2022 or 2020. So, like, you know, and also it stunk, like, towards the tail end of my career. Like, you know, we're all perfectionists. We all love, like, being really, really good at something. And to see your play as you get older start to dip and start to dip and start to dip. Like, it was – because I was willing to work, I just couldn't do it. Like, as your body gets older and it's like,
so that was the
realization
realization for you, was like,
yeah, I mean, I knew, like, shoulder screwed up, neck screwed up, both knees, ankles. Like, I'm arthritic from head to toe. I hurt every morning when I wake up, but I still get up and I still work out. It's a mind game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I saw my play dip, it was just frustrating. Like, we all want to see success. If we're going to put that much time and energy into something, I want to be great at it.
That's awesome.
So
I end every podcast with a sports trivia question.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the only NFL team that is publicly owned?
It's the Green Bay Packers.
That's right.
It's my favorite stadium to play in. Lambeau Field was incredible. People that haven't been, you got to go. You're driving through a neighborhood, like, thinking you're, like, in Forest Acres driving around. And then you start to see green and yellow, and you're like, oh, wow, this is like, oh, wow, there's the stadium right there. It's an incredible experience, and the history there is awesome. Atmosphere is incredible.
Well, Patrick, thanks you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. That's all we have for today on the Rub Some Dirt on It podcast. Thanks again to my guest, Patrick DiMarco, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.